What's going on, guys? This is Mike coming at you with part 2 to my paranormal vlog, my first experience. In the last video, I went over how the Jehovah's Witness ladies left scared out of our apartment complex, and every time we would, they would come by the apartment complex, we would invite them back in, and they just got so scared they stopped coming over. They stopped passing in front of our apartment complex and continue going to the other side of the apartment complex. So once the Jehovah's Witnesses stopped coming and the days continued, another incident that happened that I never forget. At the time, we had this box TV that had these two flaps in front of the TV that you can open and close. And instead of having a remote, we had buttons that you could press on the actual TV itself, and it had this little red 2-digit display where the number would, you would see what channel was on. I remember one time my grandmother had came over, and while she was there talking to me and to my mom, I remember watching TV. I was watching cartoons, and the channels kept jumping from the cartoon to other channels. I'm not too sure if there was universal remotes at that time. I was such a young kid. It was years ago. But I remember at the time the channels kept going from one station to the next, and it kept jumping back and forth. Again, I was a kid. I didn't understand why that was happening, but it would happen. My grandmother then proceeded to ask my mom, "Hey, why is the channels changing on their own?" And my mom, with a blank stare in her, blank look in her face, she had nothing to say. She was speechless. She didn't know. She didn't have an answer for my grandmother. So then once that day passed and the channel stopped changing on their own, several things started taking place within our home, and not only in our home, but outside in our home, outside of our apartment actually. I remember one night, my mom's friend Linda lived across the apartment complex from us. Here was our building, and across the grass was the next building. Her window was directly across from our window, from my mom's room, in the very top, the second floor. I remember one night, it was in the evening, my mom's friend was yelling my mom's name through her window. My mom went upstairs, said yes, and her friend was terrified, her neighbor, she was terrified, saying that she had witnessed a woman standing in front of her window looking into the house. But where it gets even creepier was, it wasn't the window downstairs, it was the window upstairs, directly across. And so she said that she came up to the window, looked out, saw this lady wearing all black, staring through the window. Without no words, she was just staring through the window. She yelled out of fear of seeing this woman floating in midair, looking through the window. My mom came to the window, and when she came, that lady, she just vanished. But my mom didn't see her. I didn't see her. While my mom was cooking, she had turned. When you go into the kitchen, you walk down the hallway through the living room to the back, where the apartment was, or where the back door is. And once you're there, if you're facing the back door, you can only turn right into the kitchen. This one way in and one way out. She went to the kitchen, turned the stove on. She was about to start cooking for me and for herself. She went into the refrigerator to grab some items. Well, when she turned back, there was an elderly woman standing right at the stove, just laughing, giggling, looking at my mom. My mom, scared beyond anything she's ever felt before. She just yelled, and when she looked down at the woman's legs, the woman had no feet, no legs, no nothing. She was just staying there, just floating there. She said that she ran as fast as she could past the woman, ran straight outside of the apartment, left me inside my room asleep because she was so terrified, and her friend's son had to go inside and make sure that I was okay. When they checked throughout the whole house, there was no woman there. There was nobody there, just myself upstairs in the room asleep. Shortly after that experience, when that day had passed, I want to say a few months had went by, or a few weeks, I want to say, that I remember, it was so long ago, but I recall that we went to my aunt's house, my mom's aunt, because apparently my great grandfather was dying. He had colon cancer, if I'm not mistaken, or he had no. If it wasn't colon cancer, I think he had cancer in his liver, and so he was dying. Or he was at that moment where they took him to the hospital because he was already dying already. And so before we left our apartment to go to my aunt's house, because my aunt had asked my mom if she can watch the house while they went to the hospital with my great grandfather. She went to her one of her close friends at the apartment, and asked her. There were a couple from Mexico, but they lived there, and she asked her, do you mind watching the apartment while we go to a family member's house to watch the house? And if anything happens, give me a call. Here are the keys. You can come in, get it. If you want food, whatever you want, just get it. But make sure to watch the apartment while we're gone. So she agreed to that, and so did her husband. So we leave. We get to my aunt's house. We're there for a few days. At that point, um, my great grandfather, I think he had passed away already, or he was already in the process of passing away. Well, then my mom receives a call that he passed away. Well, the crazy part is that one of our family members, I'm not sure if it was my mom or it was somebody in my family, had set that up. When that had happened, his routine that he had when he was alive was, he'll go out to the yard, go clean, do whatever he wanted, whatever he did. He'll come back, wipe his feet on. He had these two, I guess they're like um, cinder blocks or some kind of blocks there, and he would wipe his sandals, or in Spanish chanclas. He would wipe them, his feet, before he walked into the house. And you would hear the spring from the doors, like an old wooden door with springs in it, and you would hear that, where it would open and then close, and he would walk into his room. Well, I'm not sure it was my mom or it was one of my family members who had heard him walk into the house when he was in the hospital. He already had passed away, like if a spirit came back home. Well, then a little bit after that, the phone rings, and our neighbor calls us. She ends up calling us, and she says to my mom, "Are you and Mike, are y'all back home already?" And my mom says, "No, why?" She says, "My husband and I went, a little while ago, because it was in the evening when the phone call was taking place." She goes, "We went out to go check the house, the apartment, and when we went to the front of the apartment, to your door," she goes, "we're about to put the key into the door to, see if the apartment was okay." She goes, "The light was on, and the music was full blast." She goes, "We heard all these people in your apartment talking like there was a party going on." My mom says to her friend, our neighbor, "No, we're still here at my aunt's house. We haven't even left yet." She says, "Are you sure?" She goes, "I heard a loud music going on, people, laughing, talking. You can't really make out what they were saying because the music was so loud, but you could hear like mumbling where people are talking. Go ahead and go into the house, open the door, and see who's in my house because it's not us." Well, then her husband, I'm not too sure if he gets like a gun or he gets a hammer. He gets some kind of weapon to go inspect the apartment, to go see who's in there. He goes to the apartment with the key in hand and whatever item he had, what weapon that he was going to use to see who's in there. He goes to reach with the key to the door handle to put into the lock to open it. And right at that moment, though, he turns the key to unlock the door, and he pulls the door open. The lights are off. There's no music. Nothing. No smell of smoke from cigarettes. No beer. I mean, it's just like if there was nobody there. And my mom, she freaked out when she heard, what had happened. So we got our stuff and we went home. We went to check it out ourselves. We inspected the apartment upstairs, downstairs. There was nobody. Nobody in our apartment. And that shook me as a kid to my core, scared, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I don't know what was happening. I asked my mom, "Mom, who can we ask to help us?" Mom, that look in her eye, being scared herself, not really having an answer. She says, "Maybe we can go across the street to the church, to the Catholic church. There's a church that's there to this day. Big old colorful church here in San Antonio, Texas." It was Father Mike, was his name. And we approached him, my mom and I, asking for advice on how to approach this, how to find a solution to this problem that we had no idea why it was happening to us. I mean, yes, it was the Ouija board that they brought into our home, but we needed to figure out something soon because we didn't want to move. I mean, we couldn't at the time. We had nowhere else to go, so we were forced to try to find a solution to get rid of whatever was there in the home, in our apartment. Well, Father Mike proceeded and said, "Are you on drugs? Whatever drugs are you doing? Maybe they're affecting your son." My mom said, "I'm not doing no drugs. My son's not doing no drugs. He's a little kid." And he said that he was scared himself. He didn't want to go and look. He was terrified himself. So he gave my mom some scriptures to read. He gave her holy water. He says, "Go to each room, put a cross in each window, clean out the whole house, mop and pour some holy water into the bucket and mop and say these scriptures in the rooms, in each room, and whatever's there, you'll cleanse the apartment." So then we went walking back across the street to our apartment. My mom told me to sit down and watch TV. She started praying, and she went up to the rooms and started trying to do what the father said from the church, and she read the scriptures. She mopped. I mean, she put crosses in each window, and whatever was there decided to fight back. Well, this is where I'm gonna end my video. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch my video and for me to be able to share my experience with the paranormal. It was something that we went through for many, many years, and there's many more stories. I'm gonna make another video with the rest of these stories that I have to share. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for new videos coming out soon. I promise I'm not gonna let you down. If you can, spread the word. Help support my channel. It would mean so much to me. I know I'm new to the YouTube family community, but let's build together. Let's let this, like a fire, just spread. This is Mike, and I'm signing out.